Now we will thoroughly discuss main authorization and related procedures envisaged by the rules of granting marketing authorization and assessment of medicinal products for human use. We will start with the mutual recognition procedure, as it is the first procedure described in the rules. Within a mutual recognition procedure, the competent authority of the reference member state should complete granting a marketing authorization and assessment of the marketing authorization application dossier within 210 days. Within the first 14 days upon submission, the competent authority should validate the dossier. Should any questions arise, the competent authority may furnish the applicant with a notice to provide additional information or clarification. Applicant should respond to such a notice within 90 days. Where the competent authority considers the application to be invalid, having taken into account the response provided by the applicant, or where the applicant does not respond in a timely manner, the competent authority will refuse to accept the application. Where the competent authority considers the application to be valid, the assessment of the dossier begins. During the assessment period, the competent authority or assessment organization, where it differs from the competent authority, may request the applicant to provide additional information or data. The response period is set to 90 days per request, and the total response period may not exceed 180 days should several requests occur. Where the applicant fails to respond to the request in a timely manner, the assessment will be terminated, and the applicant will be noticed thereof. Within the assessment period, the competent authority of the reference member state may trigger an unscheduled GMP, GCP, GLP, or GVP inspection if it considers it appropriate to do so, having thoroughly examined the particulars and documents submitted within the marketing authorization application dossier. An unscheduled GMP inspection may also be triggered where the applicant applies for such an inspection due to the absence of the GMP certificate of the Union if the competent authority grants the application for an inspection. The inspection needs to be concluded within 180 days and not later than the expected outcome of the authorization procedure. By the end of 210th day after the application submitted, the competent authority of the reference member state must decide on whether to issue a marketing authorization or refuse the application. The marketing authorization may be granted subject to one or more conditions. After the final decision is made, the applicant will be notified within 10 business days of that decision. The competent authority of the reference member state shall refuse to grant the marketing authorization for a medicinal product in the following cases. The risk-benefit balance is not considered to be favorable. Its therapeutic efficacy is insufficiently substantiated by the applicant. The quality of the medicinal product has not been demonstrated. The proposed quality control test methods are not verifiable. The applicant has submitted false information. Compliance with GXP of the Union has not been demonstrated based on the outcome of the inspection within the procedure of granting a marketing authorization for a medicinal product. It is worth noting that verification of test methods is obligatory, and this is where issues may arise because the assessment organization does not perform any method transfer. In case of a positive decision, the competent authority will issue a certificate of marketing authorization, final versions of the summary of product characteristics, patient leaflet, labeling, assessment report, risk management plan, and normative document. The risk management plan is issued only in specific cases determined by the Union GVP rules. The normative document is a compilation of information from the selected sections of the quality module of the MAA dossier, such as the specification, description of test methods, stability, and packaging information. The problems with the normative document were described in our paper, which has an English version for those who are interested. This document is widely used in Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan, and it has major drawbacks. Keeping this in mind, the Union rules were drafted to overcome these drawbacks. To this end, a specific provision was enacted banning any discrepancies between the quality module information and the normative document. The competent authority of the reference member state should enter the information contained in the mentioned documents into the Union Common Register of the authorized medicinal products. After the marketing authorization is granted by the competent authority of the reference member state, the applicant may trigger the mutual recognition procedure by submitting an application to the desired member state or states, which become in this case the member states concerned. At the same time, the applicant should send a request to the competent authority of the reference member state asking it to grant access to the MAA dossier to the competent authorities of the member states concerned, where the applications for granting a marketing authorization were submitted. When applying for a marketing authorization in the member states concerned, only limited information needs to be submitted, restricted to the completed application form, Module 1 information in electronic format, confirmation that the relevant fees have been paid, and the SMPC, PL, etc. in the official languages of the member states concerned, where those languages differ from Russian and where there is an appropriate provision in national legislation of the member states concerned. Within 14 days, the competent authorities of the member states concerned should validate the application and either start the assessment or refuse the application if the applicant fails to meet the legal requirements set out in the rules. If the application is successfully validated, the assessment of medicinal product starts and needs to be completed within 50 days. The whole procedure shall be concluded within 90 days. The assessment principles are the same as those used by the reference member state, while the assessment period is shorter. Although the member states concerned receive access to the whole MAA dossier, the scope of the assessment is limited to the assessment report drawn up by the competent authority of the reference member state. The competent authorities of the member states concerned may send a notice to the applicant requesting the provision of additional data or clarification via direct communication with the applicant. The member states concerned should also grant the reference member state access to all communications between the member states concerned and the applicant. The assessment procedure shall be terminated and the application refused if the applicant fails to respond in a timely manner to requests sent by the member states concerned. If the applicant was furnished with a notice to provide additional data and the applicant responds in a timely manner, then the competent authorities of the member states concerned have additional 20 days to consider the application, taking into account the newly submitted information. By the end of this period, the competent authority of the member states concerned should conclude the procedure and communicate their decision to the reference member state, which should inform the applicant of the decisions made. In case of a favorable decision, the competent authorities of the member states concerned shall issue a certificate of marketing authorization which will be valid within the period approved by the reference member state and the product information, that is SMPC, PL, and labeling. The assessment report drawn up by the reference member state, the normative document and risk management plan not to be issued, since these documents coincide with the versions approved by the reference member state. Should an unfavorable decision is made by any of the member states concerned, taking part in the mutual recognition procedure, the subject of disagreement shall be referred to the expert committee for the medicinal products for human use established within the Eurasian Economic Commission, as well as to the reference member state and the applicant. The reasons for making the unfavorable decision are provided in the rules and limited to those under which the reference member state may make the unfavorable decision. In this case, the applicant may apply to the expert committee to trigger the dispute resolution procedure, which should be concluded within 60 days. There are a few basic outcomes of the dispute resolution. The member states involved may resolve all disagreements and thus make a single decision on the application, or may agree to disagree. In the latter case, the member states concerned, which made the unfavorable decision, refused to grant a marketing authorization, while the member states concerned, which made a positive decision, issue a certificate of marketing authorization together with other appropriate documents.